Hey everyone, firstly, before we begin, I just want to thank you all for all the love on the last Sooty video. It has quickly become the most popular video on the channel, and to see people really liking it made me really happy. So thank you so much. If you haven't watched it already, I will link it down below. Now, on to the topic of today's video. Today, I want to talk about a time where the Sooty show briefly went from being a live-action puppet show to being a fully animated show. Now, this sounds pretty insane, but there is actually some interesting history behind this incarnation of the yellow teddy bear, so join me as I tell you all about Sooty's animated era. The show was called Sooty's Amazing Adventures, and it aired between 1997 and 1998, lasting only 2 seasons. The show was animated by Cosgrove Hall Films, who were well known for shows such as Wind in the Willows, The BFG, Noddy, Bill and Ben, and of course, Postman Pat. The show was about Sooty and his friends residing at the Fanshawe Theatre in a British coastal town. The stage's trapdoor transports them magically to anywhere in the world, but in typical Sooty fashion, it always goes wrong. This weirdly reminds me of Doctor Who, and I don't know why. Sooty, Sweep, Sue and little cousin Scampy are still very much a part of the show, but there is 2 additional characters introduced. Katerina, an old Persian cat who doesn't stand for nonsense and is very much a motherly figure towards the gang. And Captain Fogbound, a hot air balloon pilot, who Katerina has a little bit of a crush on. So the show did a fair few things differently. For starters, this was the first time Matthew Corbett didn't write any episodes. Instead, Roger Stennett, Jimmy Hibbert and Malcolm McGuckin were brought on to write for the entirety of the show. I'm fairly sure this was because Matthew wanted little involvement with it, or it was made during that transitional phase to the show being owned by Ghislaine, so they needed something new on CITV to replace the Sooty & Co block. But this is just me theorising, of course. The next change was the voices. Sue had a new voice, and so did Scampy and Sweep. Yep, you heard that right. Scampy and Sweep speak for the first time. Scampy is voiced by Jimmy Hibbert, who is not only one of the writers on this show, but has also been in a lot of Cosgrove Hall shows, such as Noddy's Toyland Adventures, Little Robots, Little Red Tractor, and many more. Quite the talented man. Sweep was voiced by Rob Rackstraw, who is well known for being the voice of Scoop, Muck, Spud, and many more characters in the UK dub of the original Bob the Builder show, as well as the Mr. Men show, and was the voice of James and Toby in the CGI iteration of Thomas and Friends. Quite the resume for sure. Of course, let's not forget Little Sue. Sue, whose main voice actress in the puppet version of the show is Brenda Longman, was replaced for the animated take on the franchise with voice actress Susie Blake. Susie is more well known for being in shows like Coronation Street and Mrs. Brown's Boys, so she doesn't do that much voiceover work, which is actually quite a shame because I thought her voice was good for the show, but just not for Sue. So I have a little theory. I have a feeling that they changed her voice to make the show not really within canon of what came before, so having Brenda as Sue would be very confusing in a different iteration of the show. But who knows, this is just me theorising, for all I know I could be completely wrong. The next change was the episode's length. Now, previous episodes of Sooty usually had the episode length be around 20 minutes, as Sooty needed that length in order to have every main character in some shape or form speak or be present, and to further show the lesson learnt in the episode. For this animated run though, they cut it down to almost half of that length, meaning the pacing was faster and not as many arcs can be tackled within each episode. It did, however, allow more comedic relief, which is a true staple to the Sooty franchise. Now, time to talk about lost media. I was shocked when I was researching this that there even was lost media, if I'm honest. So, according to Lost Media Wiki, there are currently 3 episodes of this series missing, with 1 being incomplete. The episodes, My Fair Katerina and Long John Sooty, are the 2 full missing ones. Meanwhile, in Hadrian's Wallpaper, only the final 8 minutes are lost to time. The first 2 minutes of this episode originated from a Norwegian dub. The fact that this show had a Norwegian dub is genuinely crazy. Like, I know Sooty aired in Australia in the 80s, but I didn't know that Norway liked Sooty. Well, you learn something new every day, huh? There is also a New Year's CITV trailer from 1997, which apparently has a scene from Long John Sooty in it. So, they were made, but they probably only aired like once, and given that there was little home media releases for the show, it's quite the mystery for sure. Speaking of home media releases, the show these days can be found on YouTube, uploaded by Adamski2851, and you can buy one of the VHSs from eBay for a fairly reasonable price. Both VHS releases are on Amazon UK, but they are unavailable, so eBay would probably be your best bet. In 2014, during an interview with Licensing Biz, when Richard Cadells acquired rights to Sooty from Hit Entertainment in 2008, he received a lot of archival Sooty material, which included the master tapes to Sooty's Amazing Adventures. However, because of his personal distaste for the show, he destroyed them. What? He has since been approached about producing an animated version of Sooty, but doesn't want one made, which, to be honest, I agree with, as Sooty is pretty much well known for being a live-action puppet show. So once again, this is a really great example of Richard Cadells really keeping this brand safe. If you do want to find any of the original broadcasted recordings, the BFI National Archive and ITV Archive hold some episodes for archival purposes, though how to see them is a difficult job of its own. For me it was anyway. Also, a fun fact that I only recently learned is that a company called Richmond Toys produced a set of toys based on the show with the cast in cars, each of them having a different job. Sooty was in a police car, Scampy in a maintenance truck, Sue in an ambulance, and Sweep as a fireman. They even produced a Sooty bus too. The best place to find these would probably be eBay, but if you do ever find them, then good luck, because they're quite hard to come by, especially for a very decent price. And that's pretty much it, really. I want to thank the Sooty Wiki, Lost Media Wiki, and various other sites for being a massive help with this video. I've never really had an interest in this part of the show personally, but I thought it would be fun to cover this era of the franchise and dive into as much as I could possibly find, and theorise as well. So with that, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you soon.